friends, it's Jodie here for Hip Kit Club, and today I'm sharing a trio of cards that I'm putting together using the beautiful May kits. The cut file that I've chosen for this card is the Daisies cut file, which is a subscriber cut file for May. Now I've chosen to use just the flower part of this cut file, but you also get, when you download this cut file, a wreath. You get a bunch of different sized daisies and you get some leaves as well as the centers. So there's plenty of different options and things that you could make with that cut file. Well, all I wanted to do on my card here today was to layer up a bunch of the daisies to make a centerpiece on my card. So to get started, I have layered up one of the pieces of pattern paper, some of the pink cardstock from the cardstock kit this month, and then I've stitched around the edge of some white cardstock with my sewing machine on a long straight stitch with no thread in it, and then I've used some matching embroidery thread just to make a border around the edge of it. I'm using one of my scoring tools to lift the edges of each of the petals, much like you would when you're curling ribbon to put on a gift. It just creates extra dimension on each layer of the flower, and I love the way that that looks. My other main projects that I do in scrapbooking are traveler's notebooks and project life spreads, so I don't get to put a lot of dimension on those projects. So whenever I make cards, I do like to add as much dimension as possible. You can see on the middle of the flower there, that's where I've placed my sentiment for this card, and it says #enjoy this. Believe it or not, that sentiment actually came from one of the branding strips on one of the pattern papers in the kits this month. I can't remember exactly which one it is from, but it's super cute. It just has all of those hashtag words across the branding strip, and so that's what I've used for all of my sentiments. To finish this card off, all I'm doing is threading some twine from my stash with some ribbon through a couple of the pretty paper tassels from the embellishment kit, and that just finishes that card off nicely. For my next card, I've used the Go Girl cut file, which is from the Titles freebie set this month. I've cut it once in pink cardstock and then used the offset tool to make a slightly larger piece to sit behind it, and I've cut that in white cardstock. Then I'm just layering the pink cardstock over the white cardstock, and it's ready for my card. For this card, I've used the hashtag words from the branding strip to be a base for this tag that I've just cut out from some pattern paper. I'm just adhering it here so that it gives me a solid base to work from, so that I can add a couple of cross stitches with my embroidery thread. And these hashtag words say #BU and #rare and beautiful. And that is kind of a nice uplifting sentiment to go with the title on the card, which is Go Girl, and I really like how that works. I'm using the ribbon that I pulled from my stash to tie through the top of the tag, and it's quite chunky ribbon, and I love the extra dimension that it gives to this project. You might have noticed earlier that I pulled out one of my edge punches and trimmed a piece of white cardstock so that it was just a little bit wider than this tag. And now I'm measuring it so that it just sticks out a little bit on top and on the bottom. It adds another layer which breaks up the background from the tag itself, which I think gives it some definition. And I love the scallop look on the bottom as well. It just makes it feels kind of feminine. The main kit this month has these incredibly beautiful fabric bows that were designed by Kim Watson, and I seriously have used every single one of these bows already, and I'm only halfway through the month. I just adore them. They have great dimension, but also if you wanted to use them in a flatter project like Project Life, then you can definitely squish them down and they still look just as cute as well. And there's my second card finished. For my third card, again, I've pulled out a few bits and pieces that I want to use from the kits. You can see that I pulled out some sequins there. I'm thinking I might use them in some kind of a shaker pocket. I've also got that blue cardstock there that came in the cardstock kit this month, and you can see that it actually is an adhesive cardstock. So it already has that backing on there and adhesive, so you don't need to worry about adding adhesive to that at all. The cut file that I've chosen for my last card is this sweet dress, and it comes from the Clothesline cut file, which is a subscriber cut file this month. You get individual pieces, so there's a bunch of different dresses that you can get, and you can get them either separate or all together, and they are pinned up on an old-fashioned clothesline. They are so super cute. What I've decided to do is just use one on this card. So I've backed it with pattern paper and then added another one of those beautiful fabric bows from the main kit. edge punch pieces in place and another layer of white cardstock. I'm just going ahead with some pink cardstock here, but I'm going to make a little frame to house a kind of shaker pocket here. So I'm using my frame punch from We Are Memory Keepers just to round the inside corners. If you don't have a tool like that, you can definitely still just cut out a square or a rectangle like this from cardstock without having rounded corners on the inside. It still looks just as nice. It's just that I had that tool there, so I took advantage of having it. I'm not sure what happened here, but I did lose a little bit of footage somewhere along the way. But what I've done is used a backstitch to embroider around the middle of that frame, and I've also used some tulle from my stash and created a kind of shaker pocket. So I've pulled just the white sequins and the pale blue sequins from the sequin mix that came with the kits this month, and I've popped them in behind the tulle. So you've got a shaker pocket, but you've also got the extra texture of the tulle, and that's super pretty. I've used a final hashtag word from the branding strip that says Seek Magic for the sentiment on this card, and I've also pulled some of that crochet cotton from my stash to create a little floppy bow that just hangs down underneath the sentiment, and it's kind of cute having that thread just flowing across the card. And so that's my last card, just finishing up now. I'm really happy how this trio of cards came together. I always love having a set of cards kind of matching in some way, but a little bit different. And these have that super cute feminine look to them with lots of layers, and I love that I could use so many cut files. Here's a few close-ups, and remember to stop by the Hip Kit Club website to check out the May kits and also the June kits, which are just about starting to ship this week.